Greetings, Richard Filmy here, and welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles live albums. So here we are, 2 weeks out from Christmas? I can't believe this year's almost finished. Wasn't it the other day that we were having New Year's Day? It's insane. So I guess we'll be dusting off the old Boney M and Mariah Carey Christmas albums. For those of us that do. Won't be happening here. I seem to have mislaid my particular copies of those gems. So, enough about Christmas and all the other waffle. Let's get into the live album of the day. And we're going all the way back to 1973. The great British classic rock band Uriah Heep. And the live album simply entitled Live, or Live 1973, which was the year that it came out. So they'd had a few albums under the belt by the time this came around. There was the debut album, Very Heavy, Very Humble. Then you had Salisbury, Look at Yourself, Demons and Wizards, Magician's Birthday, and then the live album. So they had quite a bit of material from which to choose from. And I think the early 70s, 73, 74 was probably them at their peak. From the original lineup, the classic lineup that everybody knows. So it was recorded on the 26th of January 1973 at the Town Hall in Birmingham, UK. Great crowd as well. When you have a live album, you want to have that sort of call and response thing from the band and the audience, and definitely with this live album. And it was released in April 1973 in the US, and in May 1973 in the UK. So once again, trying to crack the US market before they do their home market, which most bands did back then. The album was produced by Jerry Bron, who produced, I think, pretty much all the previous albums on the Bronze label. That was his label. Jerry Bron had the Bronze label. So who was in the band? Well, you had Mick Box on guitar and vocals with that great wow sound that he got. David Byron, the great David Byron on vocals. Ken Hensley on keyboards, guitar and vocals. Gary Thane from New Zealand on bass guitar and vocals. And Lee Kerslake on drums and vocals. So there you can see, to get that trademark Uriah Heep harmonized sound, pretty much everybody sang in the band, which was great. So you didn't just have one guy singing, you had all that backing vocals as well. And that's something that they've kept up with right up until today. Because obviously they're still touring, they're still going, still producing albums. And that's part of their sound, a big part of their sound, in fact. And if you look at that lineup, the only guy left is Mick Box from that particular lineup. The rest of them have all passed on, sadly. David Byron passed away, I think, in the 80s. Ken Hensley more recently, along with Lee Kerslake. I think they were one after the other, a very short time. And Gary Thane was also way back in the 70s. So yeah, he's the only guy left of the original lineup and of that particular lineup. And it's great that he's still keeping the flag flying and doing his thing with Uriah Heep. I take my hat off to him for that. So the album got to number 37 on the Billboard charts, which was okay. It wasn't in the top 10. And it went gold in Germany and the US. So it has been re-released a number of times. What I have here is the original vinyl LP with the great inserts in the middle. I'll show you in a second. And I think the most recent has been in the early 2000s. What they did with the first reissue was they took out that rock and roll medley that was part of the fourth side on the album. It was a double-sided album. A double album, and on the fourth side they had the rock and roll medley. They took it out for some reason, and then in the 2010 release, I think it was, they put it back in, so you got the complete concert again, which is great. You don't want to mess with the running time and cutting short and things like that. I don't know why they did it, because on a CD you can pretty much fit anything in, really. So let's have a look at this bad boy. Here we go. Uriah Heep Live, January 1973, Bronze Records and Peter Bauer present. There we go. That's a thing of beauty right there. Just love vinyl, especially for this kind of, I'll show you in a second. So at the back, you pretty much have the songs, and you have who produced it during the British tour of 1973, the mobile recording unit, etc., etc. And there you can see the bronze label, that famous label. And Motorhead was also on that particular label. So let's open this up. So here you have a little insert or a little chat from each guy about the album and what they've been doing up until that time, which is over there. And there you get a great live shot of David Byron in all his pomp and majesty from those early days. The late great David Byron, such a great singer. Just didn't have the confidence in himself. He always thought he wasn't good enough. I have no idea why. To me, he was a great singer. And then here, just got to be careful with this vinyl. So there we have Ken Hensley, also passed on sadly. And there's Mick Box playing his trusty Gibson SG. I think he played that on a Gibson Les Paul most of his career. And there we have Lee Kerslake behind the drum kits. Solid drummer, really smacked that kit hard. And there was the New Zealander in the group, Gary Thane on the bass. Great bass player. That rhythm section were really locked in tight together. And there we had a great shot of the band, the crowd, and if you can see that, excellent shot. So this is what you got when you got the vinyl back in the day, which is so cool. And here you have some of the other releases that were out, the ones I mentioned. The top there you have Very Heavy, Very Humble, and Salisbury next to it. There you had Demons and Wizards, and there you had Magician's Birthday and Look at Yourself, which was the third album. And there's a few more live shots from the band around 1973. Mick Box leaning back there, Gary Thane, Lee Kerslake, and all the guys. Great shots. So that's what you get with a vinyl. I'm not sure if the reissue, more recent reissue on CD had those shots in it. I'm pretty sure they must have added it as well. So the tracks on here, you get first Introduction, which is a guy introducing the band to the crowd. I forget his name now. So here's Uriah Heep, and then it goes into the first track. And in fact, I think David Byron still chats to the crowd, and he says something like Friday Night in Birmingham, and then they launch into the first track, which is Sunrise, which is a great track. I think that's from Magician's Birthday, if my memory serves. That's a Ken Hensley track. Then we go into Sweet Lorraine, slightly more up-tempo, with some great keyboard work from Ken Hensley on the Hammond B3, and Mick Box on guitar. Traveler in Time and Easy Living, that up-tempo rocker, which is one of my favorite of the early Heep songs. That was also written by Ken Hensley. He did most of the songwriting in the early part of their career, or in fact, in the whole time that he was there. Then you get on to side 2 and you get July Morning, that epic track, that long track with that great keyboard part at the end, and David Byron singing Up a Storm. It's pretty much like a Stairway to Heaven or A Child in Time from Deep Purple, July Morning. That was Uriah Heep's, that kind of track for them. Tears in My Eyes is the next track. Then you get on to side 3 with Gypsy from the original Very Heavy, Very Humble. Excuse me, just need a drink. So yeah, you get Gypsy with that great riff from Mick Box, combined with the Hammond B3, which gives it a really fat sound. And live, these guys were cooking. I mean, they were having such a jaw. So after Gypsy, you get Circle of Hands, which is a slightly slower track. Then on side 4, you get that rock and roll medley that I mentioned was taken out of the first reissue. Personally, I would have preferred them to have a few more original tracks. I mean, they had a number of albums to choose from, so why they thought they had to stick on this rock and roll medley? But, you know, a lot of the guys did it back then. Zeppelin did it. I think maybe even Sabbath did it. So it was a kind of the done thing back in the day. So what do you have on here? You have some of the original stuff. You have Look at Yourself, Magician's Birthday, and then Love Machine. So those are 3 originals still on side 4, I beg your pardon. Then they're going to the rock and roll medley, which is Roll Over Beethoven, Blue Suede Shoes, the Carl Perkins track, Mean Woman Blues, Hound Dog, At the Hop, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On, and finishing off with Blue Suede Shoes. So they're just doffing the cap to the old rock and roll greats, which is where it all started, really. An excellent live album and a great snapshot of where Uriah Heep were at that particular time. As I said, firing on all cylinders. David Byron, especially with the vocals. He sounded as good live as he did in the studio, and combined with Ken Hensley, their voices went so well together. Very similar sounding voices, and the harmonizing, like I said, to the rest of the guys as well, was just great. So if you don't possess this, try and get yourselves the vinyl copy because it's really great. I think it has been reissued on vinyl as well, which, with today with the 180 or 200 gram vinyl should sound amazing. So there we go. Uriah Heep live in 1973. So what I want to do now is just mention that I'm also now on, I've joined a radio station, an internet radio station here in South Africa, based up in Joburg. They're called Rebel Rock Radio. A great station with some excellent presenters, including yours truly, although if I'm excellent or not, that's debatable. So yeah, I've joined these guys. I've been with them for a while now. And I have a show on a Wednesday evening between 7 and 10 in the evening. And what I do is I showcase prog rock, blues, prog metal, classic rock, southern rock, jazz rock fusion, the whole 9 yards. So the show is called Richard's Rock Rambles, like this channel. So I thought I'd just keep the continuity going there. So yeah, it's a great show. The whole station has got some excellent shows as well. There's guys who concentrate more on the metal side of things, more on the sort of up-to-date, the rock, the more modern stuff. I do play new releases in my show as well. So yeah, if you want to check it out, what I'm going to do is down below, I'm going to give a link to the station. And just check my show out, or just check the station out in general. Like I said, it's a great station. And there's not enough rock stations out there. In this country especially, there's most of the stations tend to concentrate more on the rap or the hip hop or dance stuff. So if you're looking for some good rock, Rebel Rock Radio is the place to check out. So yeah, that's my other job. And next time around on this channel, what we're going to have a look at, another great live album. We're going to go back to the Southern rock thing, and we're going to have a look at Lynyrd Skynyrd and their live album from the 70s, One More for the Road. Excellent live album. And sadly, most of those guys have also left us, but they did leave us with a great live album. Look after yourselves, guys. Take it easy out there. And a few more weeks and then it'll be Jingle Bells. I'll catch you soon. Cheers.